Yeah, so the Muslims, they hear about this, they go to see Muhammad, and there's this amazing whitewashing Muhammad scene where they're like, hey, Mo, we all know you are super anti-violence and all, but...
That's a lot of scratch.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. They've got nothing to really say here, but, we could rob the fuck out of these people if we just killed them, huh? And Mo's like, yeah, okay.
And Muhammad is like, on one hand, non-violence. On the other hand, all our Tupperware. I'm going to go with the Tupperware.
God-awful movie.
Welcome back to the Gamcast, where each week we sample another selection from Christian cinema, unless, of course, we're feeling a little depressed and figured suicide would be a huge hassle, in which case we choose a Muslim movie instead. Don't worry, guys, that wasn't a suicide joke. That was a homicide joke. I'm your host, Noah Lugeons, and Heath's not here, but, he's got bone spurs or something. He had a note. But sitting 81 miles to my right is my bad friend, Eli Bosnick. Eli, how are you this fine afternoon, sir?
I'm fantastic, Noah. Quick note, if you wouldn't mind just saying, Eli Bosnick, he's super duper funny. Just, work that in every time you say my name from now on. It means a lot to me.
Humor and laughter be upon him, yeah. And, of course, we're also happy to welcome back two of our favorite guest masochists. Sitting some undetermined number of miles in some direction or another are the hosts of the Gaytheist Manifesto podcast, Callie and Ari. Callie, Ari, welcome back. So glad to have you back. Why did you come back? I mean, why would you do this again?
Because I fucking hate myself. Come on.
You didn't even give us a gay movie. What is this shit?
Right. It's almost like we're actual people. This is weird. I don't know how to handle this.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. We will work harder to tokenize you later. Mm-hmm. So tell us, Ari, what will we be breaking down today?
First of all, it's Heath. Second of all, we watched Remember Me Fondly. Wait, no, that is the title of the document. But that's not the movie that we watched. And I can't tell if that's there because Eli was too lazy to change the title after you changed the movie, or if it was literally a goodbye message from Eli as he lay dying from this movie-related causes.
Yeah, no, it's the latter.
So what we really watched was Muhammad the Last Prophet. It's an animated movie about a ragtag group of daydream believers who choose to devote their lives to a possessed floating camera, follow it into war for literally no fucking reason, except that the camera one time told them that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and that did turn out to be true. I don't know. I didn't get this movie.
Yeah, it's a hard one to get. All right, keeping the question simple then, Eli, how bad was this movie?
Well, if you love mass slaughter by warrior kings, but you want a cutesy way to sell it to kids, you will love this movie. It's Genghis Cars 3. It's Dr. Mengele McStuffins. It's
Mengele's
a weird fucking movie.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get around the obvious question that's probably floating around the listeners' minds right now is how can you have a cartoon about Muhammad? Aren't they not allowed to draw or show Muhammad? Or
we
even
wondered the same thing.
Apparently hire Korean animators to draw or show Muhammad? And the answer is no, they can't. They're also not allowed to have him speak. So whenever Muhammad absolutely is required for the story, we get him in a POV shot and other people have to talk about what he said. Like the narrator will say, and then Muhammad answered, this is me, the narrator talking now, just telling you the quote.
You got him fucking bouncing around as he's walking, the camera's shifting all over the place.
Right, yeah, no, he at one point he literally shakes his head no and the camera moves back and forth. It's so fucking silly. And then also apparently there's a mini boss of Muslim in here too who also can't be shown, but he can be heard.
He can be heard and represented by a bow, which means
right. You see a bow in his
and
peripheral vision. Well, yeah, at one point a sword in his peripheral, and at one point in the movie, these two characters have to meet. It's fucking insane.
I am glad they did it this way though, because seriously, when Eli sent me the link and was like, "This is the movie we're doing," I was like, "We're gonna get fucking murdered for Gamcast." Sweet. I am really.
We're still gonna get murdered. Trust me.
Yay!
But what I love about that is I looked this up because I was like, okay, why can't you show the brother? And it was just like, some people don't like showing any members of Muhammad's family. So, don't fuck around because they take that shit serious. It's not Buddhists, all right? You can make a Buddha dressed as Santa and fuck it. They don't care. I'm just saying, stick with the bow.
Well, and the other thing the other restriction that the religion draws in constructing the script is that whenever they say the word Muhammad, they have to follow it up with peace and blessings be upon him. Yeah! And that gets comical like 6 minutes in.
Oh, it's
21 times. I counted them.
Yeah.
Fucking 21 times.
I'm just saying, I know how Jordan Peterson feels at this point, right? It's just like, oh my God, I got it. Muhammad, peace and something be upon him. I'm just trying to get through a sentence. It's too much. It's too much. Not all prophets.
All right. So anything you guys want to nominate this one for being the best at being the worst at?
I'm not sure if this counts as a best worst, but this was the only thing that came to mind for this. Is the best worst realization halfway through the movie that, oh, wait, the bad guys in this movie are doing exactly what the good guys in this movie will do after the events of this movie are over.
Yes. Yes. Best worst sugarcoating, maybe.
The whole movie is about how the Muslims are being oppressed and called infidels and being slaughtered for their religious beliefs. Well, that turned out a little funny, let me tell you.
It's actual irony.
I've got some bad news. I'm going to go with best worst nervous catchphrase. Noah spoiled this already, but again, the narrator, you can tell even the guy doing the voice acting has trouble working it in sometimes. And he's like, and then the prophet, peace and something be upon him, finished all the lentils. And I was like, prophet, peace and something be upon him. Are you serious, man? I said that I was putting those in the fridge. I put my name right on it. But the prophet, peace and something be upon him, was like, well, you have to label your food more clearly. I don't want to get into it.
I was just imagining the narrator voice actor in the booth with the director directing him to say peace and blessings be upon him about 27 different times in different affectations. They just splice it in. Peace and blessings be upon him. Peace and blessings be upon him. Peace and blessings be upon him.
With a gun against his head.
We'll take care of it in post.
Oh, God, it should have just been like a really bassy black guy's voice that cut in every time he had to say that or something. That would have been awesome.
I've got best worst Braveheart parody.
Cartoon Braveheart parody, yes. Wait, no. Okay, so I literally have to ask, do you mean the Braveheart-style battle scenes that are unintentionally parodied, or do you mean the point in the movie where someone is tortured a la the final scene of Braveheart?
It's both, because if you look at we'll get into this later, but if you look at the background of Braveheart during some of the battle scenes, you can tell the guys are just like, oh, it's a sword. It's a sword. And like, and some of these animated and some of these animated guys are like that excited about their fighting. It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing when even the animated characters aren't taking the movie seriously. All right, well, judging by the general sense of humor Muslims have about their religion, who knows how the fuck much longer we've got, so we're going to keep the break brief, and when we come back, we'll dive into all the Baudelarized hentai POV porn that is Muhammad, the Last Prophet.
Hey, Callie, Ari, thanks so much for coming back on the show again.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here, guy.
Yeah, sorry. Noah, his hair is super awesome. Will be here in a second. I guess his hair is super awesome is just like running behind. I'm not sure if Lucinda is.
What are you doing?
What?
The hair thing? Why do you keep saying that thing about Noah's hair, which is true, but why do you keep saying it?
Oh, his hair is super up and just prefers it. Like a nice little sign of respect, like totally up to you if you want to do it. I'm just saying.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Whatever Noah likes.
His hair is super awesome.
What?
Nothing.
So, Muhammad.
What's up, fellas?
We were just thinking.
We're worried people are gonna worship images of you because you're so awesome.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, that totally.
So we were thinking maybe it might be best if we made a rule that nobody draw you or do mean imitations of your voice. I mean, represent your voice.
Oh, good thinking. But what about all my tasteful nudes?
Yeah, those are going to have to go.
Oh.
I'm going to keep mine, though. And we're back for the breakdown, and we're going to start this movie off by spreading the blame around a little bit. This movie was approved by the Council of Al-Azhar Al-Sharif Islamic Research Academy and the Supreme Islamic Shiite Council of Lebanon, motherfuckers. So go after them. They said it was okay. Was it one of us?
Here's a reason why the credits, spoiler alert, are all fake names. They're just like, my name's Timmy Timerson. We'll get to it.
Jim Smith Arif
Yeah, right.
is the editor.
Thomas Smith. We're not buying it, dude. We're not buying it. Also, they come up right away and they're like, and don't worry, we're not going to show Muhammad. I know you guys sometimes kill people first, assuming maybe that's what that was supposed to be in that cartoon. We will not show him at all. He's going to be like a
They
Peanuts
have a whole
grown-up.
disclaimer there.
Yeah.
And it's also, if you look at the name of the company, I had to know, like, what the hell else have these people made? And so they've also brought us such fine films as The Right Choice Moral Stories, The Needy, the Greedy Moral Stories, and The Cow of the Children of Israel. So, like, once you get through this movie, you're gonna want more. So, like, there's your starting place.
Tell me more about this cow.
I just want to say I felt very attacked by the cow of the children of Israel. I've lost a lot of weight lately. I've been working on the core. It's hurtful.
Yeah, but it was a good documentary. So we get all of our various disclaimers, please don't kill us, etc. And then we get the credits, and the credits are coming out of sand. So my first note is, you're a racist. I'm just telling you what happened in the movie. All right, so now we move over. We check in with the Kaaba, which is apparently decked out for the Pride Parade.
I like it.
I did too. Well, usually when I see it, it's just an ugly black rock. It's got all these pretty rainbow colors on it this time.
And I just want to be clear that from the first second of this movie, you are made aware that animated is a strong word for what this movie is. It's somewhere between flip book and animated. It's not flip book, but it's definitely not animated.
Yeah.
When it first came up, I was kind of impressed. I was like, whoa, this is Muslim Aladdin. It doesn't look so bad. And then when you look closely, it's a little bit jerky on the animation, especially in the battle scenes, which we will get to later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they hired the guy that Disney tried to euthanize like 30 years ago.
So yeah, no, the thing is the animation looks like it's going to be like straight up good until there are humans moving, and then you're like, oh no, it's going to be South Park.
You very much walk away from this going, oh, at some point in the negotiations, someone said, okay, well, what if it's not 60 frames a second? What if it's 10 frames a second?
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, I guess. And they were like, cool, all right, we're talking. Now we're talking. Good.
So in this herky-jerky fashion, we see a family. They're bringing their lamb to the market. The little kid is super stoked. She gets to sell her lamb, I think.
Oh, God, this kid. I was simultaneously freaked out and really inspired by this child because they look like they're about 10 years old. And I'm saying they because I can't tell whether it was a girl or a boy. And so I think this child might be my gender. But they look to be somewhere around 10 years old, but the voice is a 3-year-old. It's creepy.
Yeah,
it's like,
impossibly squeaky.
What's going on, Mommy?
Yeah, no, and it felt an awful lot like a 31-year-old dude just got, they're like, also read for the kid. What? Oh, all right. So they pass a bum in the street. The bum doesn't look well.
And he turns to the little girl and he's like, remember what the Quran teaches about charity? And I'm like, man, it's a good thing they didn't find a gay guy on the street corner or a Jew. It'd be a very different opening for the movie. They just look up onto the roof, see the guys that threw him off. You guys are doing great. Doesn't look like he changed his mind down here. You might want to come get him again. That's in the book.
But it was just a normal guy who wasn't any of those things. So instead they used him as a project for their Muslim prosperity gospel.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He does seem to look whiter than the other characters. And I'm thinking from the point of view of this movie, that makes him bad. So like they're helping the poor white guy. Like I don't know if that was intentional, but that was something that I thought about.
What if Muslim movies have a magical white guy the way that Christian movies have a magical black guy? You might be onto something here, so we'll have to watch some more
and
Muslim
most of
movies.
the bad guys looked pretty white. I don't know. She might be right about that.
Yeah. No, interesting. Is interesting. Dark and delightsome. Okay. So dad's like, don't, we always have to be charitable and good, son or daughter. I'm not exactly sure. Because that's how, Muslims operate. And if we didn't do that, we'd be no better than those pagans that used to live here. So the rest of the film will be a flashback to that, right? To that story.
I can't believe the pagans are the fucking bad guys in this movie. Like, maybe I'm just not well educated on the history of Islam, but since when have pagans been like evil, murderous people? Aren't they usually just like smoking pot in the basement? Isn't that what they do?
Yeah. All the pagans I've ever met.
I want to redo this movie, but recast it with like the 2010s version of what a pagan means. And the whole time they're just coming in there, murdering a bunch of people, dancing topless around a fire. It's like, fuck, man, we were just doing a thing. So we get a flashback. Now, dad is apparently like first generation Muslim. This character's name is Malik. I'm telling you that. Movie doesn't tell us that. We find out in Act 3 that the guy's name is Malik. But anyway, so we have something to refer to him as. I'll just throw it out there. And he used to be a poor kid that got robbed a lot.
Yeah, and I love there's this scene where he's like, he's got this money and this guy's trying to take his money because I guess he loaned him something. And he's like, I need this money. My family is hungry. And the guy's like, the dialogue is so bad. It's like, well, you should have thought of that before.
Before what?
You decided to be born and need food.
You should have thought about that before the unnamed backstory. God damn it. We're supposed to fill that in. Some of these parentheses are supposed to be filled in, guys. Yeah, so but we're basically supposed to see that this is it was just a shitty time to be alive in Mecca before, Islam.
Now it's awesome to be poor in the Middle East. Guys just come to your village and give you a job. You only have to do it once. It's the best. They take care of your family.
Required.
They have a really bad bullying problem in Mecca. Like, you walk down the street with your lunch money and some bully pulls you into a hallway and takes it off you. The adults really need to step in and do something here.
That is exactly what they're... And of course, look, they're selling this to kids because that's what the kids are going to relate to. So yes, they have the bully on the street take his lunch money, literally, but he unrobs himself and makes a run for it. And then we just run through a series of plot device vices.
Right. I love there's like, and this is so like, I mean, they're just like pounding you over the head. And you have this guy that's, oh, Mecca, thy name is kindness, as like people are chasing each other with swords.
Yes.
And it's
right. And he's like, oh, I'll hide in this whorehouse. No, how about this gambling parlor? No, how about this opium den? No, how about this dog fighting ring?
He literally runs into a room that's an arrowmancer. And so they're taking shots at Arrowmancer in this movie, and he's like, yes, the arrows say you can go ahead and be a douche nozzle. Go for it, man.
What he specifically says is, no, go ahead and cheat the swordsmith. I'm like, yeah, what could go wrong with cheating the guy with all the swords? Is arrowmancy a thing? Because I thought they heard tarot and the T just got clung to the last word or something.
Here's the amazing thing. Arrowmancy is a thing, but it's based on where you shoot the arrows. It's not based on like pick an arrow, any arrow.
Yeah, well, we will learn throughout this movie that these guys suck at magic tricks. So this is how bad it literally is. I couldn't have exaggerated it with all my dogfighting shit. He walks by a guy and the guy turns to the other guy. He says, all right, one more roll of the dice. And if you lose, you'll be my slave forever. That's how bad it was. Forget setting down your fucking hammer. That's how bad it was.
These guys do not fuck around with their games.
No shit.
like they can't just bet $1 or something.
Yeah, which brings up the question, what was that guy gonna win?
Yeah.
Right? All right, well, if you fail, then you're my slave forever. But if you roll correctly, the robber is no longer on your square where you get all your wool. So, consider that.
Yeah, so Malik, finally, he gets away from the bad guys. He goes right to the bread place to buy some bread. But just as he's about to do that, somebody punches him and takes his lunch money anyway.
And the guy who was going to get paid for the bread doesn't seem to be pissed that he doesn't have a customer. He's like, get up and go away.
Yeah, right. You're
I
poor
don't
now.
want money.
Apparently, I knew that the only money you had was what was in your hand in the moment. Yeah. So, okay. So now we're going to open this next scene. Now, I believe I'd have to go back and double check for sure, but I believe every other scene in this movie is going to start with a bunch of evil, greedy pagan priests sitting in an ostentatious, greedy, evil priest place.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel that's accurate.
It's very clear someone watched Aladdin and was like, who's your favorite character in Aladdin? I mean, obviously Jafar. Great. So we've agreed. We want 9 Jafars and they're in every other scene in the movie. Yes. We're on exactly the same page.
Complete with pointy chins and well-manicured facial hair.
Yeah, they all have the evil guy goatee.
Yep.
It was pretty hard to tell them apart, except for the drunk guy with the bushy beard.
Are you saying they all look the same to you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So
I'm not the one who made the slaves black in this movie, okay?
In Ari's defense, I also felt like this movie was a racism test because not only are all the characters Middle Eastern, but they change outfits when they switch religions. And I'm like, no. You stay green turban guy or I will not know who you are anymore. Fuck you, movie.
Shit. Well, that also speaks to how bad the animators are. Let's be honest. You know, if that Korean animator thinks they all look the same, they all look the fucking same. Right. So also, and this is something that they don't highlight a whole hell of a lot in their religion, but of course the cartoon can't ignore it. The fact that before the Islamic religion existed, the pilgrimage to Mecca was already a thing. Like, doesn't that really highlight how bullshit their religion is?
I did not fucking know that. And I was like, whoa. Like, so it's almost like this was a cultural tradition that was then adopted into the up and coming religion in order to appeal to more people.
Yeah.
Almost like that. But of course that
would be like the Christians just adopting a day and calling it Christmas and pretending that Jesus was born that day. Yeah.
This movie does a really good job of accidentally pointing out that Muhammad was like, I don't know, I like Mecca. Nice, weather's there, there's this cheesecake place, I gotta take you. I mean, there's always big lines, but I gotta take you. So yeah, that's why it's the center of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a crazy guy.
So we've got this group of evil Jafars sitting around saying like, boy, them pilgrims sure are stupid and easy to rob and take money from, huh? And there's the one old guy that is determined to fuck up everybody else's mood.
This fucking guy. There's always one in every group, right?
Oh, he's the pilgrimage hipster. He's like, I saw Muhammad play in a garage for 25 people, motherfucker.
Yes. Yeah, this is Muhammad's uncle. I should have kept track of the character's name, but he's Muhammad's uncle.
I don't think they ever gave him a name.
Abu Talib.
It was name. Abu something. Everybody's named Abu something. I'm not racist. That's true. That's their names.
Because the evil guy who's obviously trying to play both sides at first, he's like, this is Abu Talib. He is our leader. Trying to suck up to the guy.
Right.
Yeah. That line sticks out for me.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, they certainly did give him a name. I just they all kind of did run together for me. Sorry.
Well, I mean, they're such distinct and well fleshed out characters. I mean,
well, fat drunk guy I got, right? Fat drunk guy was his own man.
The only memorable character in the whole movie.
I don't know. I'm pretty fond of red turban poetry guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we'll get to him later, but
yeah. Well, it takes a third of the movie for you to flesh him out as a different guy than blue turban poetry guy. But eventually, yes, it's quite. Yeah, he's quite a character. Fair. All right, so this is where we first get the Muhammad POV. I didn't know this was coming, right? So I assumed that they would just always talk about Muhammad and he would never be on. He'd be like Norm's wife in Cheers or something like that. But no, they went fucking POV. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, that seems tricky to animate. Yeah, I mean, trickier than they had, you know?
Oh, how badly did you want this Muhammad POV to turn into either King's Quest or porn the first time you saw it on the screen? Just like a rock lights up. It's like, I died again. Stupid.
Or you see his gun in the bottom right corner of the screen.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or his health meter across the left or something, yeah.
Right, and let's be clear about how Muhammad is introduced for this scene, right? This is him going to the cave. It's Muhammad hated the mistreatment of women and slavery. So
Yes.
he went to a cave to pray. That's like Eli hated ramen noodles at midnight and porn. So he went to, come on, we all know. Sometimes those are simultaneous.
But Muhammad is such a good boy. As he's walking up the mountain, he comes across a little mountain goat that has its foot caught in a thicket, and he lets it go because he's the greatest man who ever lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And keep in mind, we're not even allowed to see his hands. You know, he's like, he's even shyer than Mormon Jesus is about his fingers. So we have to see, like, they have to, like, you have to imagine him standing there with his hands just hanging to his sides at all times, or when he was on horseback, the reins have to be all the way back at his crotch or something. Yeah. It's not very practical. But we see him, he's walking up a mountain to go like meditate in a cave, because, you know, the religious answer to all of the world's problem is just go sit in a corner. And it gives the whole thing about, you know, yeah, he was really mad about the greed and mistreatment of women. And then it added at the very end of that, and of course, that everybody didn't have the right God, which was the one that he already believed in.
Right.
Yeah.
And suddenly, there was a light and an archangel. And I'm thinking, if there's an archangel, why bother mentioning the fucking light? Right? Like, you guys wouldn't believe it. I went in the room there, and there was a werewolf and a kind of tacky bedspread. It was crazy. This is
Like plaid. Like plaid now in this day and age. Can you believe it? And a werewolf also. And this is amazing because so I've read this conversation before, and I thought it would come off more elegant or be sold better.
Yes.
But nope. It's just Gabriel was like, read. And he was like, I don't know how to read. Read. I do not know how to read. Read.
Also, I'm Gabriel and you're a prophet. And also, I'm Gabriel and you're a prophet.
Yes.
And also, I'm Gabriel and you're a prophet.
What the?
And I'm thinking to myself, like, what the fuck am I supposed to read? I'm in a cave.
Well, there was light, you see.
Okay.
He turns to the wall and there's just a book of erotica and he's just like, oh. All right.
But we don't actually get to see the Archangel Gabriel. We just see the light, I guess, that's emanating off of him. I don't know if that's a rule in Islam as well, that you can't represent Gabriel or any of the angels or whatever, but it zooms out from the cave and you can see the light coming out from the cave. And I'm just like, and his heart grew 3 sizes that day.
But yeah, so Gabriel keeps asking Muhammad to read, even though he's illiterate, to the point where it just seems like he's clearly fucking with, no, come on, man, read it. No, seriously, read it, man. I also love, too, that Muhammad's reaction here is to run away from it. And it's like, oh, well, it must have been real because when he ran away from it, Gabriel was still there. I'm like, no, you can't outrun a hallucination. I learned this the hard way.
Gabriel at this point is like every shitty dude at an atheist convention. Like, you just can't get away from him.
Oh, God. No, I'm really glad you like the show, man. I have to go not here. You stay here and bathe. Maybe you bathe. So
Oh, Jesus Christ.
you take a bath ever, and I'll be never back. Ever.
Eli's ungrateful about the fans.
Yeah,
Doing shit
right?
to get fans.
I'm very grateful for you, Ari. Is it Ari or Ari?
Oh my God.
So, okay. So Mo's wife hears about this. She goes to see a religious scholar because they didn't have antipsychotics back then. And the religious scholar is like, no, yeah, he's definitely a prophet. Couldn't have been making that shit up.
And the prophet immediately starts to equivocate about all the bad shit Muhammad does. He's like, oh, he is a prophet of God. Okay, but here's what these assholes are going to say. He's going to say he's a liar who marries 11-year-olds and very purposefully enslaves an entire nation. But yeah, no, he's a great guy. Don't worry about all that stuff. What was that about marrying an 11-year-old? Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. 11 is the generous age.
Yeah, exactly. That's the high end of the range. But they make it very clear his wife never hesitated. She knew a good thing when she saw it.
History's first gold digger.
Yeah, clearly. Well, probably not. But yeah, one of the early ones.
And her entire reason for believing him about the Islam stuff is that he's always told the truth before and he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
TM.
TM, yeah.
We get a flash cut to her and Muhammad at a press conference, and she's like, I stand by my husband. There's a 9-year-old who's like, yeah, me too, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And also we had a Jewish lawyer.
Oh, Jewish lawyer.
All right, so it's an odd-numbered scene, so it's back to the evil money-grubbing priests, and they are pissed about this Muhammad thing. And I love they started off going like, look, even his cousin and his adopted son believe him. Like, really?
And
That's the best you can do?
The son's name is Zane, which I think is really anachronistic and was probably just someone writing their shitty little kid into the movie.
Yes.
How amazing would it be for just some blonde kid with his bangs over his eyes to just be always standing there with a skateboard he never rides in the background of this movie? Just, okay, Zane, we're going to go fight the Meccans now. Oh, no. I want to hang out with my girlfriend. She's like,
you're not my real dad.
oh, you never let me see Amber anymore. I carved her name into my shoe.
I also love how Muhammad's enemies throughout this movie will discuss him the way the bad guys in a David A.R. White movie that David A.R. White wrote talk about him. If that's a meaningless comparison to, like, they're constantly like, look, I mean, we all know Muhammad is incredibly honest and has a huge cock. It swings to his knees. But like, I don't think he's dangerous. You know, like everyone has to start out because look, again, these voice actors don't want to get stabbed either. They're like, you know, they're going to see through this Thomas Smith shit eventually.
See, you had bad guys in a David A.R. White movie, and I had classical liberals talking about alt-writers. So, oh, they're just some trolls on the internet. It's not a big deal. We don't need to worry about them. Just move on. Blah, 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 blah. Now we have Trump. Fuck you.
Now you're not that bad a guy. What I'm worried about is these yelling college kids over. I mean, Muhammad, he thinks he saw an angel, but this college kid, he raised his voice at me. So, you know, let's focus on that for 6 years.
And we should also point out that this is where the character, who's the narrator, Malik, becomes a Muslim and takes his parents to like secret Muslim church.
Yes.
I love this so much. The guy outside the door is like, inside, quickly. There's more tonight than ever before. And I'm like, is this where we see the 10-year-old? For everyone to marry?
Oh my fucking God.
Is it ye olde Andy Wilson's house? I love it.
Like, because of course they're going to tell that part of the story, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're going to at least mention it one time that it ever happened, right? No, maybe not. Maybe they won't mention it. I don't know.
Keep
We'll
waiting.
see.
Suspense, y'all. Yeah, maybe they will somewhere in this film.
We'll celebrate Muhammad's 25-year anniversary to his wife.
Right.
They go out to
which is also her 15th birthday.
The fucking craziest.
All right, so we get a bunch of people sneaking off to Muslim church or whatever. They're all the slaves apparently can just come and go as they please, which seems odd. Seems like they'd choose something other than church if they had that option.
One of the slaves just gets up and leaves the barn, and the horses are looking at him like, really? This is the choice you're making with your life? And then after he left, they were probably whispering to another, like, what should we do? This is getting out of hand. Oh, it's nothing. It's just a phase. Just leave him alone. And then 9/11 happened, and don't be like the horses and complacent. Because then 9/11 will happen, and it's your fault.
Exactly. The horses in this movie can teach us a lot of lessons. They all go to listen to Muhammad preach.
And the sermon's basically like, so here's everything you ever wanted to hear to make you feel better about yourselves. And also you belong to me now.
Yeah.
There's no ulterior motive, right? Remember, I'm Al-Hamin, the honest one.
Yeah.
Right. And I have a section here that I call Not Even a Little Muhammad. All people are equal. Not even a little Muhammad. No. Women aren't possessions and are just as important as any man. Not even a little Muhammad.
No, look, the Quran had a lot to say about women's rights, but specifically like as a percentage of men's rights, right? Like what percentage of men's rights did they get? It was not 100. Also, environmentalism? What?
Yes. Environmentalism.
Yeah, Muhammad, he went green early. He was a big recycler.
All right, guys, we're going to separate the stuff. They actually do that at the plant. They don't do that at the plant. That's not a thing. They tried it in California, but it's not a thing. We're separating plastics and metals. Well, I actually heard that plastic can be worse for the environment. You know what, Steve? You're a dick. You're a dick, Steve. Okay?
This starts a running theme throughout the movie, which happens several times, but this is the first time I noticed it. They're trying to make Muhammad sound like Jesus. Like, is that a thing that Muslims do? Like, Christians have the whole like, oh, Jesus, he taught everyone to love the poor and to treat everyone equally and to free the slaves, even though he never fucking said that. But like, they're trying to paint Muhammad in the same light.
Yeah, no, all the religions do that with their prophets, right? All of the prophets have the same bare minimal fucking morality message. And so it all sounds the same when you start hearing it like that. But yeah, the character of Muhammad and the character of Jesus are only separated by the fact that A, Muhammad killed a lot of fucking people, and B, definitely existed. So, but I love too, because like they say this now and it doesn't sound so bad, but like when Muhammad's sitting right here, the whole thing of like, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. When you're saying, and you're his prophet, suddenly it seems way more self-serving.
Way more
creepy.
culty. Right. So culty. This movie is very culty.
Look, if my kid comes out of the doctor's office and is like, it's important to eat your fruits and vegetables, and Dave is the best doctor ever.
Yes.
The only doctor. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, fruits and vegetables maybe, but the Dave is the only doctor thing? We're talking to a psychologist.
You're right.
Show me on the doll where Dave became the best doctor ever.
All right, so now we cut to the slaves reading the Declaration of Independence or something. The two of these two slaves that we're going to follow through the movie, they're one of them's become a Muslim, and he is owned apparently by one of the Jafars, one of the evil Muslim-hating priests that happened in the stable just then to talk shit about Muhammad. And of course, the Muslim slave is like, dude, you do not talk shit about Mo.
Yeah, and his thing is, he goes, and I literally wrote this as a joke earlier in the script. He goes, you can whip my body, but you cannot whip my soul.
Which is an actual line he'll say later.
I mean, I'm going to try. I'm going to put dualism to the test right now. Let me tell you, my friend.
That is some next level kink shit. Like that. Like this movie gave me ideas, honestly.
That's on my FetLife profile right now. Looking for someone to whip my soul.
All right, so Malik comes. We get this other scene. Malik comes running home. Mom and Dad are there. They've become Muslim now too, and he's like, "Hey, Muhammad sounded the fucking Muslim tornado siren or whatever. The Muslim symbol is in the air. Whatever. We got to run over to the Kaaba."
There's something happening. It might be dangerous. Everyone I love, come quick and run with me right towards the unrest.
Yeah, exactly.
And the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said unto his people, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, because the narrator has to say, and then Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon, said a bunch of really cool shit. For example, so but apparently this is Muhammad's speech here. Great rhetorical device. He says, hey, if I told you there was an army coming, would you guys be nervous and really, really listening to every word I said? And they're like, yes. And he's like, okay, I'm going to tell you that at the beginning then. I'll back down from that later.
This could have been a great scene because I was really hoping that Muhammad was just fucking with him and was doing that thing like, if I told you I was fucking your sister, I'm not saying I am, but like, I'm saying, what if I told you that? Like, what would you do?
What if I accidentally brought an army here that was going to kill us?
As he's giving this speech, he's kind of scanning the crowd left to right. And I was really disappointed because there wasn't like some kind of a heat detection or a scanner in his vision. Right. It was just plain old vision. I was like, what's the point of being Muhammad and having a POV if you can't shoot lasers?
Oh my God, Muhammad walks up, give me your clothes. Come on, kid. Don't be a dick.
Now, obviously, the evil priests are huge pissed about this. They're like, hey, you random person in the street, do you believe any of that? And she's like, yeah, I believe every word of it. It's like, fuck. So they're like, well, let's all attack Muhammad. But Muhammad's believers, they have a plan. They're going to stand in a circle around him to protect him from all of the fruits and vegetables.
And the eyes of people watching the movie.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, obviously.
You know how you know your prophet is a super humble, self-sacrificing guy? He lets everyone form a human chain so he doesn't get tomato on him.
I was just worried about all the fruits and vegetables they were wasting. I thought Muhammad told you to respect the earth.
Yeah, right?
Come on, people.
What kind of fucking
environmentalist? And then Muhammad
commanded
us to scoop them up and to compost. I'm not fucking composting, Muhammad. All right? I will watch
up
Florida
the entire apartment. It gets moldy.
Sink into the ocean. Thank you. Thank you, Ari.
Roommates, don't take it out.
All right, so Muhammad gets away fine. The evil priest comes into the stable, and he sees that slave from before, but now he's dressed all Muslim. Apparently, that's what those clothes are.
He should have used the excuse that it was cosplay. Why didn't you think of that?
So the guy's like, oh, fuck, no, I am going to strangle you with your turban and shit until you deny Muhammad's words. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we all have some version of, all right, here we go. Notes. Tells you what happens when you leave people alone to work from home, okay?
Yeah.
They're all just someone starts to get choked and it's like, okay.
Right?
I mean, there's no scarf protecting it, but all right, if they've understood that to be a safety thing, then all on that.
So, but then we get to the serious torture, right? He's not just going to strangle this guy to death. We're going to do the end of Braveheart, but as a cartoon, as Callie said. So he starts like whipping the guy and yelling at him like, deny Muhammad. And he's like, freedom.
Puts a fucking boulder on his chest for some reason.
That boulder does not look big enough. And you can tell the animators were like, I don't know how to do a big boulder. It's just like, there, a rock. And it's like, that's like a 30-pound rock. Yeah, but that's not comfortable, right?
My dog is 30 pounds. I can barely lift her. That's heavy. I'm a weak person.
That seems unpleasant.
But he's a big buff slave. I'm sure he can take it.
Well, no, what I love about it is it's this huge fat guy that's like putting it on him. So you know that's like the heaviest rock that guy can lift. And the slave's trying to act like it's really heavy. He's like, oh, no. Look at that. This has got to be 19, 20 pounds of stone on my tummy. But he's just about to kill the slave because the slave won't deny Muhammad. But just then, some rich dude shows up to buy him.
It is the business proposition ex machina.
Exactly. So he's like, how much for the slave? He's like, 10 gold pieces. Everybody's like, 10? That's way too much. And he's like, here you go. Here's 10. He's like, ha. I'd have taken 3. And he's like, I'd have given you 100. And it's like, it was better in Pretty Woman when they did that.
Also, conveniently, the exact amount of gold he happened to have in the bag.
Yeah, why is that, right? The clip of money always just happens to have exactly the 10 grand in it. No. But yeah. And he's like, I need the bag back, though.
It's not a bag included. That's a nice bag. It's mine.
10
My
fucking
dad
gold
gave it
pieces.
to
You
me.
can buy your own bag. Okay, so the conspirators conspire some more. I'm running out of ways to introduce these scenes, guys. I'm going to have it in pig Latin by the end of this. And I only bring this scene up because I have to, because the one guy goes like, the Quran is nothing but idle babblings. I'm like, those are the 2 best words. Like, if you had to do it in 2 words, you could not describe the fucking book better than that. Idle babblings. And the other guy's like, no, don't say that on camera.
And we don't even fucking know that the Quran is a thing at this point. It never explained to us how the Quran was recited or written down or anything. It's just like, oh, the Quran exists now and we don't like it. And we're like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, we fast forwarded through that like a motherfucker, didn't we?
And the way they make up for this, right, the idle babblings, obviously everyone went, oh, that's way too accurate. So the guy goes, no. You know what? It's obviously magic poetry. It's obviously such good poetry that it's magic.
Those are their words in this fucking movie. They must be using magical poetry to bring down our power. Jesus.
And somebody is incredulous and is like, magic? And he goes, it's the only reasonable explanation.
He does, yes.
The Quran is every shitty indie band. They're like, they're just ahead of their time. You just don't get it. Okay?
It's not bad. It's just so goddamn good is all.
Put his guitar down. You don't get it.
All the evil priests go and they're like, hey, uncle guy, you really have to do something about Mo. And he's like, no, guys, remember when Mo kept us from slitting each other's throats over a black rock? We need him. But the uncle finally agrees to talk him down at least a little. So we get to see that conversation in POV.
Oh, this is my favorite scene. I love it.
But the uncle would like him to stop preaching, damn it.
And Muhammad responds by saying, wah, 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 something, sun and moon, and uncle's on board.
Yeah, that's about what it takes.
This is awesome. Within the span of about 2 minutes, So the uncle is telling Muhammad that he's being divisive and he's making everyone do dumb shit like kill each other, and maybe he should tone it down with the whole Islam thing. And then Muhammad gets very, very sad. And then the uncle suddenly says, okay, do anything you want and I will support you until I die. Like immediately.
Yeah, like, man, you weren't trying very hard there.
Right. And the thing that seems to change his mind is Muhammad looks out the window and goes, even if they were to hand me the sun and the moon, I wouldn't stop talking. And it's like, what?
Yes. You would. The title.
If they were to put the sun and the moon in your mouth, you would still. That kind of. I don't get it.
See, I was kind of willing to let that one go because I've watched anime, and like when there's a shitty translation from Japanese to English, I'm like, I'm sure that actually means something.
Yeah. Like when the Koreans threaten that the wolves are coming to strangle us in the night. I'm like, no, wolves don't strangle, but I'm sure you had a thing you were going for there.
So Muhammad is like, jump off a bridge, and the uncle is like, no. And then Muhammad's like, yes. And then the uncle is like, okay.
Yeah, no, he has all the stick-to-itiveness of fucking Donald Trump trying to prove how sane he is at an immigration meeting. He's like, yeah, no, I agree with that idea too, of you continuing to do the thing I asked you to stop doing. All right, and so, and that scene wraps up. Uncle still loves him anyway, whatever. But we also have to address, because this is where we first meet Hamza.
And I legitimately, I shit you not, the first time Hamza is referenced, I thought the character was a talking bow.
Right, this is the other guy we're not allowed to draw a picture of. So all you ever see is a bow
and I
in
did
his
not get that reference at first. I was like, Hamza is a bow that shakes angrily at people.
Well, I'm Hamza, the talking bow.
Yeah, right.
And I'm here to
He's the
tell you that I'll
candlestick
shoot
of
an
this
arrow right
movie.
the fuck through your dick. You mess with Muhammad.
So we'll have some fun with Hamza before it's over. But first we have to check in with more priests in lavish temples bitching about Mo some more. And this time they walk out of the temple, and wouldn't you know it, Muhammad's right outside praying. So the priest yells at him.
And this is such a... Okay, here's the point of this scene, right? This is the scene from the Hadith or one of them where the guy comes out and he insults Muhammad, and Muhammad doesn't kill him, which is a huge deal.
Yes.
But then it's the worst story because Hamza then comes and kicks the shit out of the guy.
Yes.
And in some versions of the story, kills him. So it is the worst version. It's like, and Jesus turned the other cheek and was like, now, Peter. And Peter just stabbed him right in the fucking throat.
Yeah, right. But yeah, apparently Hamza has realized that somebody's talking shit about Muhammad and being mean to him. So he goes and whips his ass. That's why this scene exists. And now we have to have the awkward conversation where these two characters meet. One of them we're not allowed to see. One of them we're not allowed to see or hear. This is like the lost bit from See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
I would give all the money in the world for the day the guy came in and was like, all right, so little bit of a challenge to the animation today. We have two characters talking. One of them can talk, and the other one, if you show it, they will kill us and our families. And we need a conversation. And keep it kid friendly. All right, I'll see you guys at 5.
Right.
We're doing trust falls.
So here's what we see. We see the outside of a building with a window in it, and you can see a bow sticking out, sort of shaking when the guy's talking a little bit in the corner of that window. That's how we watch a scene. It's like, wow, the cartoon is poorly blocked. Congratulations, guys. Only religion can do that. So, yeah. So, and now we have to get Malik's mom getting tortured to death in the name of Muhammad, because it's a cartoon. You got to have somebody tortured to death here and there, right?
Of
And
course.
they tie him up to a wooden stake so that he can't help his mom. And I swear to God, they tied him up with sausage links. It was making some kind of a moist noise. They even put the Foley in there. It was like, they were tying him up.
Oh my God. So you had some like incredibly racist anti-Muslim Trumpian guy in the animation that's just like, yeah, put sausage everywhere. Sneak more pork into it. Yeah. So they've got this dude, he's tied up and his mom's tied below him, and she's like, deny the prophet or I'm going to murder you. And he's like, Mom, just deny the prophet. And she's like, would you deny the prophet just to not get murdered?
And I'm screaming at the screen, yes, the fuck
Yes!
I would.
And what kind of dick would the prophet be if he was going to hold me to that?
I made fun of his whole book for Patreon dollars. I think you're really not understanding how easily I will deny and make fun of your prophet.
Right, but not Cancer Lady. She's going to martyr the fuck out of herself. And just as she does, we literally pan out to heaven.
Like, this lady is getting speared to death because she believes in the wrong God. And did you notice the music in this scene? Because this movie is fucking stoked about that fact.
Oh, yeah. No, look what
The
a
music
good...
swells up and it's like, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. She got martyred.
It's the most generically, like, bullshit Disney happy music ever as this woman is being fucking speared to death.
Yeah, I know we were going to see her poof into heaven, but she's like still got a spear in her. And she's like, oh, do I have this forever now? And they were like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're going to have to use stairs. The elevators are not going to work for you.
Yeah, it's a Beetlejuice system. Sorry.
And the narrator's like, Islam's first martyrs.
Yeah. Yeah, right. The good guys. You want to grow up and be just like them, kiddos. So
nobody tell this narrator about Islam's most recent martyr.
Yeah, right. So the prophet decides everybody needs to go to Abyssinia because there's a good Christian king there. And you know how Christians and Muslims always get along so well. So this will work.
Baffled by this.
Let's go hang out with the Christians. That'll work out for us long term.
Yeah, exactly. They won't take advantage of us at all. So Malik is going to lead them there. They have to rush off late at night for reasons that they don't explain at all. I don't know why.
Because they're oppressed.
Oh, okay.
That's what oppressed people do, is run off in the middle of the night.
That's how you can tell they're oppressed. It's like single people and leftover Chinese food. Gotcha.
I just learned that my dad was oppressed. Or he's having a hard time getting cigarettes. I mean, either way. There aren't a lot of gas stations close to my house.
All right, so once again, the priests are lavish location. They're bitching about Muhammad. Again, that's the fucking scene. And they're like, fuck, man, all the Muslims disappeared. We need to go after them. Everyone get on your horses. I'm sure the Koreans can animate that well.
The horses in these movies run like me in the middle of a diarrhea. They're just like, oh, legs akimbo, arms are flying out, just knocking people out of the way. This has already gone wrong. I'm just trying not to make it go worse. Get out. Move.
I swear they just used paper cutouts that they moved up and down for the horses.
Yes, merry-go-round horses have more life in them. Oh my God! I'm speaking to the old folks, I guess, but it's like the Pegasus in the original Clash of the Titans. It's that fucking bad.
If they pass by this old guy and he's just like, unicorn. Oh wow, not a unicorn. That is way worse. Last unicorn.
But damn it if the cavalry doesn't show up just after all the Muslims got on a boat and they're like just 3 inches out into the water. They're like, ha, your horses can't swim.
And their timing is like fucking Roland Emmerich.
Oh, yes.
Like, it just at the very last minute. And then, of course, the other note is like, as they're floating away, I couldn't help but think, I'm not your buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, pal.
I just wanted the cartoon because the music swells again, and I wanted so badly for this cartoon to just very regally slow motion flip off the guy on the horses. Yeah, suck it, dude.
I for some reason thought that the guys on the horses were gonna start waving to the Muslims and go bye-bye, have fun storming the castle.
I was convinced that they were going to sit there all looking proud of themselves, and then one of the guys was going to light an arrow on fire and shoot it at the boat. Like, oh, fuck. Fuck.
That would have been the smart thing to do. But instead, one of the horsemen, I laughed out loud at this part. He looks to his left at the guy. He looks to his right at the other guy, and then he just goes, ugh.
Very poignantly. Okay, now we cut to a rich dude praying to a heathen god, not quite a guy in a lavish temple that's an evil priest, because this guy's not an evil priest, but damn close. But the main evil priest, this is the guy in the red turban, who we've finally established is just a genuine character, and he will be in a red turban for the rest of the time, thankfully, so I can keep track. has brought this rich guy a chest of gold. And he's like, hey, take this to the king of Abyssinia and tell him to give me all the Muslims for it.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at the size of this chest and I'm thinking this guy's a king, right? And this chest of gold is like, I mean, it's the size of some like shit that I bought from Amazon. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's like that time somebody tried to convince me to sell Ari for $5.
So, okay, but
And
how
that
much would it,
someone was
how much
Eli
would it
Bosnick.
take?
Yeah, if you didn't like my idea, you didn't have to bring it up on air. You said no. Well, what I loved about this is that green guy will be lovingly strokes treasure guy for the rest of the movie. He's
Yes.
just always touching treasure. And I really connected to this because this is all of our business meetings. Noah's just like, all right, guys, so the edit's a little short this week and I'm just covered in pearls. Like, ooh, let's charge $18 an episode on iTunes. No, you'll get a piece of treasure. All right. What if we stop paying Heath? He won't notice.
So we cut over to the Abyssinian king getting paid off. And so we have to have this, and this is a wonderful fucking moment, right? So the evil bad guy's trying to get the king to take the gold and give him the Muslims so that they can go kill him. And he's like trying to convince this Christian king that Muslims aren't good. And he's like, they don't even believe in your Jesus, do you Muslims? And they're like, oh, yeah. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. And they just talk in circles for like 15 minutes, don't answer the goddamn question. They're like, let me go back to Act 1 and tell you what's happened in the movie so far. Hopefully you'll have forgotten the thing about Jesus by the time I get done.
And I just thought to myself, this guy's the next Republican presidential nominee.
And what I love about this is that they're very clearly like, yeah, I mean, Jesus was a guy. It's like when someone who you can't lie to asks you about their terrible significant other. They're like, so what do you think? And you're like, ugh, man, hats, huh? He wears hats. I noticed he's wearing a hat. And has a face with a nose, 2 eyes. And that's how they describe Jesus. And the king is like, it's pretty obvious we're all on the same page here.
Yes.
You can stay. You can stay. This is going to go super well. Trust me.
Yeah, right. And then some right-wing Abyssinian YouTubers crowdsourced a few boats. It really went downhill quickly after that. It got ugly. So, okay. So now it's time to go to a fucking room full of evil priests bitching about Muhammad.
And the fat drunk priest shows up, and he is off his tits, wasted. He's like Andrew at Reason Con levels of wasted.
It's a narrow cast joke, but I think Andrew will get it.
Also, I think enough people have seen Andrew drunk at this point that our audience consists of a majority of people that have seen him drunk. I think that's fair.
Andrew, check and make sure that's not libelous. So
bring it on, Andrew.
We have been trying to get the mirror match going with Andrew against himself for a while. Yeah. So, all right. So yeah, the poetry cleansed the rich guy's heart. The drunk guy is just staggering around. He's like, I've got an idea. And they're like, oh, do you? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to shout on this rooftop.
He goes over to the roof and he starts yelling, I'm tired. I'm wasted. I love you, darling.
So, but the idea they come up with is they're like, hey, what if we just shun all the Muslims, right? We could make a law that says nobody's allowed to sell or buy from Muslims or Muslim sympathizers. I'm like, why don't you just kill them? It'd be so much quicker. You're doing the same thing.
And also, they tack on at the end, no marrying them. Which I love. It's like, we're not going to sell them anything. We're not going to buy it. And no marrying them. It's like, yeah, I figured, man, if we're not selling them food. Okay, but can we marry them? All right, now it's going on the list. See, don't you feel stupid for shitting on that?
I mean, can you even imagine what it would be like to be denied goods and services and marriage just because of an inextricable part of your identity? I can't even fucking imagine how horrible that would be.
All right, look into my heart. No, I can't imagine what that's like. Not even a little.
Check your
I don't
privilege.
know. I guess I'd just buy food somewhere else and not make a big deal about it, but whatever. I'm not a big whiner.
Free market.
Christ. All right. So now we have to get our little montage of Muslims being denied food. So, and dad can't buy bread. We see Malik, he's walking around and he's like, goes to the one thing and then they just like he pulls the curtain down in front of his shop.
Pull the curtain down. But it's not like the metal shutters on stores because there's just a guy standing behind them.
Right.
I wanted him so
Poke his head
bad.
around.
Just
yeah,
like,
you know that we know you're still there.
I could see you, Dave, who
I guess
sold
they
me
didn't have
stuff.
object permanence back then.
Oh my God, the bread store's gone.
So, yeah, and so the Muslims are walking around starving. So they all go to the hills to eat bad soup and try to catch lizards because they won't let them go to Abyssinia where, the Muslims have it great, because what's better than Ethiopia? It is. I'm sorry, it's a shithole country. It really is. I mean,
So they leave the city and they set up a camp in Ishbal. And if you get that reference, please friend request me on Facebook. We have a lot to talk about.
Okay, so we cut to Abyssinia, though. Malik, the main character, has heard about all of this starving the Muslims, and he's like, I'm going to go back and save my family. And we're like, hey, way to go, Malik. He's like, after all, it's been 3 years. I'm like, what the fuck have you been doing, dude?
Oh my God, I've been at the museums and just seeing stuff. And then, of course, I had my relationship with Stephanie, which I'm still not moving on from in the best way, but like, it's cool. It's pretty cool.
And of course, we have to learn here that Muhammad is also starving, and he just won't stop giving up his food for all the other people. He's such a good guy.
Such a fucking good guy.
All
Look
the
how
time.
good he is. No, seriously, look at it. Do it now.
We're also not what the Quran teaches. The Quran has parts where it's like, and Muhammad gets the big piece of cake.
Yeah, right. He gets to cut the cake and get the first choice of slices. But Muhammad has an idea. He has an epiphany. So the idea apparently involves sending the uncle as a messenger to go tell the evil priest something important. This is fucking hilarious. Okay, so
this is great.
The evil priest shows up and he goes like, all right, so Muhammad made a revelation, and if it turns out that the revelation is wrong, you can have him and do whatever you want to him. But if it turns out that it's right, you have to lift the ban and let us buy food and shit. And the guy's like, yeah, no, okay. I'm like, who the fuck would take that deal without knowing the revelation? And why would you even have the, like, oh, wow, that was fucking easy. Yeah, he said water was wet. Give me some food.
Shit. Guys, we got to hear the thing first. Oh, sorry. Next time.
But it's not like the thing is any more impressive than that.
It's really not.
He says, Muhammad got a vision that pact that you guys wrote about how you're not allowed to sell to Muslims got eaten by bugs.
Because apparently the people of Mecca haven't figured out yet at this point in history that paper tears.
I guess, yes. Whatever.
That's like the 8th worst magic trick ever. Ladies and gentlemen, watch the paper.
And that paper, the movie told us, has been there for 3 years at least.
Right. Right, like if
in the desert.
Yes. If so they walk in, then there's like a Labrador-sized mosquito with a toothpick next to it. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's a pretty good trick. But no, they just walk into it, and yeah, well, it's not there anymore. It must have been eaten by bugs. Muhammad did say it wasn't not a black card. But yeah.
It is still there, Noah, and it has a very special secret message on it.
Yes, everything was eaten by the bugs except the part that says, in the name of God.
The top. Here's the thing. If it was eaten except for like 3 pieces in the middle that spelled out in the name of God.
Right.
It's
you
not
got these
good
little
magic.
strands that connect these faraway words from one another so it stays together.
Right.
Yeah,
That's cool, but it's just the top. Those were the first words of the declaration.
Right, exactly.
It's eaten except for to whom it may concern.
Right, it'd be like freaking out because like after the buildings fell, there was a cross left in the goddamn beams. Yeah. So I also love that, like, this is where Malik shows up and he's like, hey guys, heard you were starving. I just showed up with some Taco Bell. And they're like, yeah, no, we already took care. It's been 3 years, but we just took care of it yesterday. So great timing. Great timing, Malik.
I'll still take the Taco Bell, though.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, so things are looking bright for the Muslims, but can it last? No, it can't. This is where we learn that Muhammad's wife is sick.
I Googled, this dude had 13 fucking wives.
Yes!
All right. 2 of which were concubines. And we have a 15-minute scene about how sad he was about the death of this wife.
Yeah. Yeah,
Got
she
a
was
fucking on Golden Pond montage here.
Yeah, but she was the alpha, apparently. Yeah. I want to point out, my wife and I almost have him beat 4 more years. We're going to have Muhammad beat. Muhammad and whatever the hell her name was. Yeah, but they called this the Year of Sadness, apparently.
Because we were sad and really bad at naming things.
Right. What are you, astronomers? Yeah, we'll call it a black hole. Yeah, so, but I'm thinking to myself, you spent the last 3 years starving on a hill. Muhammad's wife dies. That's the year of sadness. That's the year of mild inconvenience for most of you, isn't it?
And somebody's like, the prophet's wife is sick. And then some other lady's like, Khadijah, because they had to specify which fucking wife it was.
Right.
I wanted him to get it wrong and go through a bunch of wives. You're not talking about the... Are you saying Aisha? Yeah, Aisha, the 9-year-old. Okay, well, she could be 7. I don't want to talk about it, all right? Do you mean her? No. Okay. Because we all know why she'd be dying.
She got the flu.
But of course, we're not going to have a whole fucking year of sadness just for a woman dying. There's also a man who dies. That would be the old uncle. And I love the POV bit we get of the uncles dying. Whereas the uncle's like, the last thing I want, Mohammed, my adopted son, nephew thing, is for you to get along with all of these other evil priests. And Muhammad turns to the evil priest and he says, hey, man, we can get along fine if you join my religion. Psych. You had to go in there for a second, though, didn't I? Like, we're going to talk before you dismantle your nuclear arsenal. Give me a fucking break.
Muhammad agrees not to bother the pagans anymore, and then he immediately demands that they denounce their religion and start following his religion.
Yeah, right. Unless, which is the same as just going ... not.
Yeah. And I love the whole speech that his uncle gives, because in my mind, he's being super fucking catty and passive aggressive. Like, you just fucked this whole thing up. You are so special.
Yes.
Look how special you are as you take us to war.
Yes.
You know, we always knew you were an indigo child.
So, of course, but now, up until now, Muhammad's uncle has been the leader. But now that he's dead, the evil, fat, drunken priest becomes the leader of the evil priest tent place.
And I love this exchange because the guy's like, call yourself king if you want, but don't get in my way. And then I hear a narrator voice, next time on Real Husbands of Mecca.
See, I thought it was so funny because they go, what is the problem? What's our number one problem? And the guy's like, Muslims? And he's like, no, Muhammad. And he's like, okay, man, you know that's Muslims. What is that? Oh, yeah, obviously. This is
Got a
dollar in the negativity jar.
They've got a serious Trump and Bannon dynamic going on.
Yes.
You've got the drunk idiot guy who's the technical king, and then the guy who really knows what's going on, pulling all the strings.
Yeah, and then
It just slowly pans over to Michael Wolff, who's writing on a scroll. Don't mind me, guys. Who fires that guy? Who is the... Damn it.
all right, well, since they couldn't have made this any clearer for me if they had a little title card that came up and said, hey, toss it to the interstitials here, Noah. I guess we're going to pause here for a quick break. But first, I'm going to give Act 3 the hard sell. Did I ever tell you about Moses? Does that joke not make sense to you? Would it kill you to catch up on the scathing archives? Find out the answer to some other questions and more when we return for the aberrantly violent conclusion of Muhammad, the Last Prophet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, welcome to Typical Vitamin Nutrition Arena. I look like a Stretch Armstrong filled with bowling balls.
Wow, you really do.
What can I help you with?
Yeah, well, my co-hosts are always giving me a hard time about eating nothing but Hot Pockets, so I'm looking for a protein bar that's a little better for me.
Ah, no problem. Taste this.
Sure. Oh, what is that?
That's the sand bar. 834 grams of protein. Made of sand. That one's chocolate flavored.
Okay, this is a lot of things, but chocolate flavored is not one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're looking for something a little tastier, maybe you'd like the dehydrogenated whey soy recalcitrant extract bar.
All right, you made at least one of those words up.
Someone made one of those words up, yeah.
Look, I'm just looking for a simple, tasty Whole Foods protein bar.
Oh, you mean the RX bar?
What's the RX bar?
RX bar is a whole food protein bar.
That sounds kind of wooey to me, though. You know?
Yeah, it's not. Their bars are made with 100% whole ingredients. RX Bar wanted to be transparent and upfront with their customers, which is why they label the core ingredients, egg whites, dates, and nuts on the front of the package and the ingredients that make up texture and taste on the back. 100% real cacao, coconut, etc. Beyond being a go-to snack that checks off a number of nutritional boxes, RX Bars actually taste delicious without added fillers or sugar.
So it's a snack bar that tells you exactly what it is?
That's right. RX Bar's core ingredients do all the talking. It's simply like eating 3 egg whites, 2 dates, and 6 almonds with no BS. Plus, it comes in 11 different flavors.
Wow, 11 flavors?
Yeah, they sent me a sample box, and Anna loves the peanut and chocolate sea salt ones. They were like a great healthy snack to throw in her purse or for her to have when she's going about the day. Really, really love them. Can't recommend them enough.
Eli, what are you doing here?
Oh, I like to stroke the mouth parts of the shaker bottles.
Yeah, you need to stop doing that, little dude.
Now!
Got it. Okay, so where do I get these things, these RX bars?
Well, for 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/awful and enter the promo code AWFUL at checkout.
Awful, huh? Like how all the other protein bars taste.
Exactly. Want to watch me flex?
No, I think I'm good.
Please?
Hi, thanks for coming in. Have a seat.
Don't mind if I do.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. Now, before we get started, I want to just thank you for reaching out, for recognizing the importance of running your film past a respected Islamic research society before going to publication. I mean, we wouldn't want anyone to get offended.
Or stabbed in the face.
Yeah, we're mostly worried about stabbed in the face.
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. Right. So we reviewed the film and we have a couple of suggestions.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so we love how you got around using Muhammad's voice by having the narrator explain what he said, but we're afraid somebody who isn't totally paying attention might mistake that for the narrator impersonating Muhammad.
I see.
So what did you have in mind?
Well, we're thinking perhaps you could try going with a voice that couldn't possibly be mistaken for somebody impersonating Muhammad. So it makes it very clear the narrator is not mimicking the prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him.
Okay.
All right, retake number 27, take 3, and action.
And Muhammad listened to what they said, and he said to them, "We will cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve, for what they have associated with Allah, of which he had not sent down authority, and their refuge will be fire, and wretched is the residence of wrongdoers."
This movie's gonna suck.
And we're back for more of this shit. When we last left our heroes, they got to eat food, and most of the ancillary characters were dead. And we're going to rejoin the action with the evil priest bitching about the Muslim infestation like a white nationalist Facebook group.
And this is my favorite plan of the evil priests, because this is where the evil priests hire something far more dangerous than swords against the Muslims. They hire poets.
Oh my God, yes. This is where Red Turban gets his poetry book.
Yes. Yeah. No, and so their new plan is to tell people that Muhammad gave them their boyfriend a hand job after the fucking game last week, even though he'll tell you he didn't. That's the whole fucking thing. Hey, psst, psst. Muhammad said your dad was gay.
Literally. Dude, he says your gods aren't real, and that means he says your dad is stupid. And the people are all like, my dad's not stupid, let's fuck him up.
Oh, yeah? Well, my dad works at Nintendo, and he lets me play all the games before they come out. So, ha.
The new Mario, you throw your hat at them, and you run their brain. Okay, that's obviously a lie, kid. Or you...
It's fucking awesome. It's a great little vehicle. So yeah, and just then, so the Muslims see that things are going bad, right? Muhammad's getting a bad reputation because all the lies, not because anything he did. It was all lies. And then some who the fuck is this guy character shows up, announces he's also a Muslim, and there's a bunch of Muslims in the city of Yathrib, so Muhammad should go there.
Oh, Yathrib. I had Yefrith. I wasn't sure if that was correct.
I had to look it up. It's the old name of Medina, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we learned something today. That's going to be all the learning. So there's like, we need to meet with Muhammad. So like, yeah, we'll go ahead and get the POV cam. Hold on. So he comes to meet this guy in the middle of the night. And the guy says like, hey, Muhammad, you should really come to Yathrib. We cannot stop stabbing each other for 30 seconds there. We need your help. And I'm like, why would you now go? This motherfucker has no business serving on the tourist board. They're like, dude, why did you send Dave? You know he's going to tell him the stabby thing.
Come to Rome. Lots of touching. No, see, you gotta stop pitching places, man.
They're like, Muhammad is the only one who can bring peace. And I'm like, yeah, all that peace he brings.
Yeah, right.
That's why Mecca is doing so fucking well right now.
Yeah, exactly. Even in the context of this story, he's not bringing peace.
Yeah, no, not at all. So yeah, all of the Muslims are going to sneak off to Yathrib. And then the very next morning, all the evil priests show up and they're like, this is the morning we're going to murder all the Muslims. Oh, fuck, too late.
Really? You couldn't do Wednesday, huh? You just couldn't do Wednesday.
I got a ball. I'm bowling. It's so important that I bowl on Wednesday, motherfucker. So yeah, but now the Muslims have largely escaped, but there's a few that stay behind, including Muhammad. So they're like, all right, finally we got a chance to like do something about Muhammad. And then they're trying to decide what to do with him, right? They're all, of course, in the evil priest tent, which is where they spend all their scenes. And they're like, should we cut his dick off? Feed it to him. Then just then a mysterious cloaked figure shows up and says, how about killing him? And everybody's like, fuck, we did not think of it. Why didn't we think of killing him?
Okay.
Fucking Voldemort just came out of the shadows and was like, and they're like, okay, we'll listen to you.
This is supposed to be Satan, right?
Yeah.
Because he Batman's
really?
at the end?
I did not get that at all. I thought it was just like some character that was being introduced, and then I just now realized that we never saw that guy again.
Yeah, this is supposed to be Satan, which means at some point Satan watched 6+ years of this and was like, oh my God, fuck. Hey guys, how about killing? Killing. Great. All right, I'm going back. Jesus.
These evil pagans really suck at being evil.
Right? But he says, why don't you kill him? And they're like, well, because then like everybody be mad at the guy who killed him. Nobody wants to be the guy that killed him. It's like, well, why don't you guys all stab him at once? And they're like, fuck, yeah, that's a great idea. It's not like Beatrix Kiddo can make a whole fucking list. Yeah, that'll be perfect. And then, of course, the mysterious evil guy just Batmans his way the fuck out of there.
After having brought them the gift of diffusion of responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, Muhammad knew all this shit was coming. So he conjured a plan that included, by the way, when he knew that murderers were coming to kill him in his sleep, having his cousin sleep in his bed that night.
It's the best. Look, there's a lot of whitewashing of Muhammad's actions in this movie, but there is no more desperate one than this thing where it's like, Muhammad said, cousin, dress up like me and cover yourselves in fresh tomatoes. But don't worry, I know that you won't die.
Yeah, right.
You're good.
And the cousin's like, couldn't we just use like a bag of rice? I feel like a bag of rice because I don't have to move.
Maybe they'll spend less time stabbing a bag of rice. Just get in the bed.
They're going to see the silly face we draw on it. It's not going to be real. They're just not going to buy it.
A boxing glove will pop out and go boing.
So all the assassins show up. They're all going to stab him at once. And they're like, let's sneak in and kill him in the middle of the night. And the leader guy is like, no, we'll wait until the morning when he leaves for his morning prayers. And he's like, okay, can we just go home and go to bed then? Because there's no reason for us to be here then until morning.
They just wait outside and Muhammad prays all night. And what can only be described as a miracle occurs. People in the early hours of the morning fall asleep.
Yes. Oh my God, Muslim God is so fucking weak. Every time he steps in for a miracle, it's like, and then there was a cobweb. It's so fucking bad. Yeah, no, that's coming up soon. So Mo prays all the assassins to sleep, and then once they fell asleep, he left, like a badass, I guess. And he hid in a cave where no doubt he talked about Moses all goddamn night. So then we get the assassins waking up. Boy, do they have egg on their face. So the leader guy's like, fuck, we all fell asleep. I will give 100 camels to the man who finds Muhammad. To which I wrote, you're racist.
Whoa, that's a lot of camels.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't want that. That's a lot of fucking work. Like, that's a shitty prize.
Oh, I'm sorry. I killed this guy. I thought it was just a random dude hanging out in a cave, and now I've got 100 camels. I'm a blacksmith. I don't need. Does anyone want to buy? Do you want to buy your camels back for me? No, I was trying to get rid of these fucking camels. Do you know how much they eat? I know how much they eat. That's like owning a horse farm all of a sudden, except matter. This is the worst.
So I also love the assassins looking for Mo montage where they're like checking trash cans and mailboxes and shit to see if he's in there.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo pops out of one of the doors. Muhammad pops out of the other.
Exactly.
They kill Scooby-Doo for looking at the image of Muhammad. It's a whole thing.
And for being a dog. But now the main bad guys have hired themselves a real pro tracker that can follow Muhammad right to his cave. But luckily for Muhammad, God had a spider.
He has Snow White powers, I guess. He can call the animals to himself.
But only in the most pansy-ass way. Like if an alligator came up and ate these motherfuckers, I'd be like, go, Mo. But no. He gets into a cave, and then a spider builds its web in front of it so that when the guys show up, they're like, well, he can't be in there. There's a web in front of it. How would he get through? He'd have to be tiny. Like, what do they think this is a multi-day construction process? Like a bunch of spiders are just waiting for the licenses from City Hall before they fucking start this? No, they do this overnight. That's how cobwebs fucking work. Jesus. But that's enough, apparently. They're like, well, fuck, man. I mean, we'd have to break a whole spider web to get in there.
I was waiting for the Charlotte's Web style message, like, Muhammad definitely not in here.
Yeah, don't look in here. Right. But so they just turn around and leave. I'm thinking the tracker guy's like, okay, could we just in case look behind the cobweb though? Yeah. So Muhammad leaves. We have to have this whole like, boy, is he going to sure miss the Shire moment. And then he has to leave on horseback, which means they have to do POV on horseback.
After fucking up all of the spider's hard work on the way out, dick.
Yes, right, exactly. That fucking spider saved your life. I hope you at least gave him a fly or something.
So he's riding the horse away, and of course it's his POV because we can't actually see Muhammad. And I was an equestrian for most of my life, so I'm very familiar with what the top of a horse's head and neck looks like when you're on top of them. And that horse looked like it was about to ask for tree fitty. Like, it looked like the fucking Loch Ness Monster.
So meanwhile, in Yathrib, everybody's worried that Mo stood him up. It's been a while. He hasn't showed up. But just then he shows up so that we can get a musical number.
And the camel's actually headbanging during this part. Yes. It's so fucking good.
Oh my God, this is impossibly ridiculous. It's so hard. Like, if taken in isolation, it would be so hard to conclude that they were not making fun of this religion with this scene. So everybody's happy for a while. We get this whole thing about all the kids are learning to read. And I only bring that up because there's that bit in there where the mom gives the teacher the towel.
Well, before this, there's this kid really doesn't want to go to school. Like, he wants to help build the mosque.
Yeah.
And the note that I have is, but Mom, I wanted to jihad today.
Right. It's like, no, you have to learn to read. And then we see the kid learning to read, and we're like, yeah, that fucking kid really needs to go to school.
I wanted him to be like, have I ever told you about Moses? I feel like I read this sentence already. No. You're good.
Same lesson again. Nope. Different one, believe it or not. Yeah, but then also there's this moment where the mom, like, she turns to the teacher and she says, here, for my son's teacher. And she gives her what is very clearly like just a bath towel from Comfort Inn.
And this lady is like me at every Christmas with my grandma, where she bought me this awful sweater. Like, it's beautiful.
Well, yeah, right. The terminology she uses is just that sort of that passive aggressive, way too complimentary.
Yeah.
You know, like they get you the sweater, like, oh my God, I've wanted this my whole fucking life. Yeah. So also this is the bit where like we see Mo, he's carrying shit to help build the mosque. And the guy's like, no, you shouldn't carry that. We'll carry that for you. And then Mo shakes his head no in POV.
Don't you
so
strain
good.
your delicate prophet body.
Yeah, right.
And now we get the call to prayer moment, which I don't know why they felt the need to lie about how the call to prayer came to place, because the call to prayer sounds super weird, even if you understand the context of it. But in this movie, it's just a guy who gets up on a wall and he's like, "Guam, guap, guam, guap." And they're like, oh yeah, he's telling us all to pray. And it's like, you sure he's not choking on Nickelodeon's gack? What the fuck?
Wait, you're telling me that was the call to prayer? Because that did not sound the same without two asshole shock jocks laughing over it the whole time.
You're lucky they don't listen to this show.
Or even their own.
And I also love to subtly underscore the everyone's happy now narrative. We open the next scene with a little girl going to bed, turning to her mother and saying, "Mom, are we the happiest people that ever lived?" Subtle script.
I wrote down, no, honey, that's the Buddhists and people who don't know about Twitter.
The people from Normway. Yeah, no, I'm like, you're sleeping on the floor, kid. No, clearly not. You're not even in the top quintile. So, yeah, and this is also where they renamed the city Medina, so it'd be easier for me to spell. Appreciate that. Meanwhile, we cut back to the evil priest. They're like, man, all the fucking Muslims left, but hey, guess what? They left all their stuff. Let's go sell their stuff.
They pile up all of the stuff that the Muslims left. And it's like, it doesn't tell you how many people it was, but it's hundreds or thousands of people who left. And all the things they left amount to pretty much the contents of a 1-bedroom apartment. And they're like, yes, we're rich.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. They didn't even have to get the big U-Haul for this shit. No.
Yeah, I have more pug stuff in my 1-bedroom apartment than they have all the stuff.
So the Muslims, they hear about this. They go to see Muhammad. And there's this amazing whitewashing Muhammad scene where they're like, hey, Mo, we all know you are super anti-violence and all, but
that's a lot of scratch.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. They've got nothing to really say here, but we could rob the fuck out of these people if we just killed them, huh? And Mo's like, yeah, okay.
And Muhammad is like, on one hand, non-violence. On the other hand, all our Tupperware. I'm going to go with the Tupperware.
So, all right. So the evil now, and of course, the evil priest hears that Muhammad's coming with literal highway robbery plans. So the bad guys scrape together an army. And also, by the way, like, again, you know, your movie, you're making most of this shit up anyway. But in the movie, they admit, they're like, okay, but then when Muhammad heard that we weren't going to outnumber their enemies 10-1, he was like, hey, guys, you sure you still want to do this? You know, they have this, like, pushing out moment for Muhammad where he's like, okay, now.
We see a meeting where they're all like, I mean, you told us that God said we need to get it, which would mean, and he's like, oh, right, obviously, yeah. Yeah, no, let's still go then, I guess. Sure.
Go forth and get that money, bitches.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So now we get the first of 3 war scenes that are going to happen almost consecutively.
Ooh.
I take it back. This is my favorite scene.
Oh, yes.
I love this scene so much. We have seen a lot of animated movies try to cover up their religious violence, but this is the best version of it because this movie just chose to make the violence blurry.
And that's partially to cover up the fact that that there's so much violence, but also to cover up the fact that the characters in the background are literally just peanuts dancing with swords.
Oh, it was great. The frame mate took a freaking drastic dip, and it was like watching one of those old Adult Swim shows that 13 people made. Like, like they superimpose these people on a realistic background.
Like, I rewound and watched this scene a couple of times, like watching specifically in the background. And there are a couple of people in the background who are literally just flailing their arms like the inflatable arm flailing tube man. Like,
sword fighting no one and shit. It's so amazing.
How did they run out of drawn swords?
Right. And also, like, we can't. Okay, 2.5 minutes does not seem like a long time when I just say 2.5 minutes. But when you're watching blurry, out of focus, clang, clang, clang sword fights, 2.5 minutes is an eternity.
That was 2.5 minutes. Are you serious?
This went on for 2.5 minutes. And then finally the bad guys are like, yeah, fuck, we should get out of here. This scene's getting boring.
They're like, we have to retreat. Our men are getting far too blurry.
So I also want to point out how terrible these people are at war. The fucking cavalry goes in. They have no archers to support them. The bad guys retreat. The good guys don't pursue them. Like, you guys suck at this shit. I bet you have to go to another war in the next scene, don't you?
One guy literally says Allah as he's killing somebody, and I thought I misheard, and I thought he said Hayya, so I went back, and no, he said Allah. That is the religion of peace right there.
The Kung Fu Muslim. We got a whole new
I
franchise.
wrote, yay, the Muslims win. Something I did not think I would type.
So, but meanwhile, Red Turban is super pissed. Apparently, Red Turban had told that army to turn back because they'd already gotten all of the Muslims' shit, and they didn't because they wanted to fight Muhammad anyway. So now he's decided, because they wasted so much money on that he's going to take every penny he has and use it to overthrow Muhammad.
Yeah, and then I love this scene. He's like, he's only a man. And dude turns around and the fucking sickest burn he could think of. No, you're only a man.
It's like, yeah, I that's what I meant, though, that he's a man and I'm a man. You're not insulting me here. So, but that's exactly how well written this fucking movie was. And I think, honestly, I don't think it's that the writers couldn't do better. It's like they couldn't do better without being better than the Quran, right? Like, so it's like, the bar is fairly low for them. But so they run to Mo and warn him that Mecca has raised an army of 3,000 people to match their paltry forces of 700. And Mo's like, yeah, no, we got that shit. No worries.
They didn't really have that shit.
No, yeah. Something tells me they weren't outnumbered 4-1 in this coming battle. But now it's time for another battle. Now, if you know Muslim history at all, you know that they lose this one, and you even know why, right? Because they talk about it quite a bit in the Quran. But if you don't know, it's going to clue you in real quick, because the opening scene here is one of the generals, and he's talking to a bunch of archers, saying, "Okay, guys, look. If you puss out here, all of history is going to blame you entirely for this battle being lost, okay?"
And they're like,
so whatever you do, don't puss out.
Got it. And run away.
Right.
So they chant Allahu Akbar as they go into battle, and that's not me being anti-Muslim. That's what they do. This is the religion of peace again.
Religion of peace, yeah. So we get more blurry sword fighting for 1.5 minutes. Invisible bow guy dies. Tari Hanzo dies in this part. And of course, as the battle's going on, we cut back to those archers that, man, whatever they do, they better not leave or that'll fuck everything up. And so they leave. And Malik, of course, the main character, is with him. He's like, guys, don't go. Remember, we're supposed to protect the rear. But they won't listen to him. And of course, just as they leave, the cavalry shows up at the rear, and it's like 11 dudes on horses. I'm like, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference.
And they start circling around the hill that the Muslims are on, like grad students circling around the last mini muffin at the lab meeting.
I'm so bad at that because I just eat the last one, and I'm just like, oh, did anybody? Oh, never mind.
Too bad.
Too late now. Also, there's this moment. Okay. So, weird diversion here. A big football fan. And for a couple of years there, I think it was Fox, decided that it would be a good idea to put a camera on the visor of the referee's baseball cap, right? Which was stupid because it's bobbling all up and down. You can't look at it for fucking anything. And it was a terrible idea. But one time there was this kick. It was a terrible field goal attempt that goes straight at this ref and hits him right in the face. And you think, oh my God, I hope that's the guy who was wearing the camera. And it was. And it was this glorious fucking moment. And I got to relive that when we got the part where somebody throws a rock and hits Muhammad in the head. And we see it in POV.
Poor baby Momo, he got rocked.
He falls down.
Well done.
They all think he's dead. So the other guy rides over. The evil guy rides over and he's like, okay, so our gods are tied 1-1. And it's like, okay, technically I know that's supposed to be how it works because we claimed that God did it when we won, but no, No.
Who would
Yeah,
win?
right.
Thousands of pagan gods or one Allah boy?
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that at the end of this scene, you get the end of Star Wars Episode 3 like 3 times. No.
They literally did slow-mo and deeper voices for the Muslims turning around to look at
Yes.
Muhammad going, no, you got a rock to the head.
So, but Muhammad is still alive. They're like, your Muhammad is dead. And they're like, no, he's doing fine. He's like standing up. He's like, I'm feeling much better, and just when he was tragically on the anyway.
Weekend at Muhammad's. They're just like puppeting him around.
He's just waving, hands flopping left and
And
right.
we would never know because we can't fucking see Muhammad.
Yeah, right, exactly. All the humor's lost on us. It'd be great. So all the evil priests are celebrating except the main priest, who's still pissed off that Muhammad is still alive. So he has to gather a bunch of brand new characters to also conspire against Muhammad.
And at this point, I need somebody to take the poetry book away from Red Turban.
Oh, my
I
God.
desperately need that.
I was just thinking, like, what is this? The 15th scene we've seen of them conspiring. And I'm like, do they have jobs? Do they do other things other than plot and do religious rituals? Like, how is this economy sustained in Mecca?
Right? So they all the evil characters that we haven't met yet meet together in a secret cave and they make a secret pact. And they all say a different evil bad guy cliche before pounding the table.
I was sad they didn't have any chess pieces to move across the board.
Oh, right. That's all we were missing there. Yeah. But they raise an army of 10,000 people, which apparently sounded like a very big army back then. And Muhammad finds out about this. So we cut to Muhammad and now skinny Danny McBride is there.
I have him down as Doug Henning.
He's just porn stash in my notes.
There's literally a guy with an 80s mullet, a stash, and he's wearing a denim vest with no shirt underneath.
Yes!
I'm like, did somebody write their gay uncle into this movie? What's going on here? He does not belong.
How amazing would it be if that was just Matthew McConaughey's voice? He was just like, well, Tom's a flat circle. And you're just like, fuck, McConaughey did weird work before True Detective. We all forget that he was not as he was just doing Failure to Launch, and then this, okay.
Yeah. So, and emaciated Danny McBride says, "Hey guys, I got this great idea. It's called trenches. It's the craziest new thing in
After
whole
somebody
technology."
asked the prophet for advice.
Well, right. And the
Porn
prophet's like,
stash.
"I don't fucking know." And then Danny McBride's like, "Oh, I got this one, Mo. Trenches. You'd think the conduit of God would have heard of trenches."
See, they invented it before the world wars. Muhammad was ahead of his time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they just didn't put people in them back then. So they dig trenches, or I'm sorry, they dig the Snake River fucking canyon.
Trenches the size of Arizona.
Yeah, they dig it all around their fucking city. So then the evil bad guys march on them and they're like, oh my fucking God, a trench? Dude, this is unprecedentedly brilliant. Why would anybody think of digging a hole where I want to walk?
And they try to jump the trench and fail
God.
so many times. There's like the 9th guy on a horse who jumps after seeing 8 other guys miss. That's on him. Who's just like, nah, my horse is going to make it. Oh, fuck.
At a certain point, it's on the horses, right? The military advisors are like, this is never going to work. And he's like, do it anyway. And they're like, but sir, and he's like, fire and fury is what I said. So, but also, like, they keep jumping horses over here. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what do they think will happen if one of the horses finally makes it?
He's Steve the horse over here.
Didn't they just fucking climb down off the horse into the trench and then climb up the other side?
What? I love to. And it shows them like they try to fill in the trenches, but people are shooting arrows at him and everything. I'm like, yeah, you could have a shield. And apparently this keeps going for 30 days.
Right. How big is their fucking army?
Yeah, right. And why wouldn't you just climb over the pile of horse carcasses at a certain point?
Like there's a quota. Like, okay, we're only going to let 5 guys jump to their deaths today because we got to conserve.
We need to make sure we're going to have enough horses for June. So, yeah, and so we get all the bad guys are conspiring, and the one guy's like, dude, I got to say, like, this whole, like, every day you ask people to jump their horses into a canyon and they all die. It's really fucking with morale. He's like, oh, are they a bunch of pussies? Is that what it is? He's like, oh, they don't.
I love that his inspirational speech is, "You're a man of words."
Yeah. Okay. Like, I got a new plan. We don't do it 5 at a time. We all jump in. Now.
Right, because his brilliant plan is just like, all right, well, you leave me no choice. Let's just attack then. And he's like, the other guy's like, fuck, has that been an option all month? We did not think of just attack. Anyway, so inside the city, meanwhile, the Muslims are preparing for battle. We get this old man saying, here you go, hon. If we fuck this up, kill some people with these rocks before they rape you. Okay. But she's scared because she's not a good enough Muslim. She doesn't trust in God enough.
And he's like, don't be scared to die, because if we die, we'll be together in paradise and you'll get to watch me with my 72 virgins. And I know how much you like to watch.
Right. So before we can get the battle too, I love, we have to have like sort of the parallel prayer battle between Muhammad and Red Turban.
Best fucking montage ever.
I love it because Muhammad's like, Allah, I am a humble man. And the other guy's like, it cuts the other guy's like, hey, God, kill Muhammad. He's like, that's great. That
hey, guys, these two are in opposition to each other. I just want to let you know, like, they're wishing for different things.
Let's really spell that out.
Didn't know if you knew.
I wanted him to like top each other's prayers. Like we see the POV and we see sweat beating down Muhammad's eye holes, just like push it to the limit.
We actually don't get this. I think this is probably, as far as I can remember, it's actually not POV. It's like Muhammad is inside this thatched roof cottage and we see the outside of the cottage and it kind of zooms in as he prays. And I was just imagining that Muhammad was the cottage and I just wanted to ruffle his little hair on top of his head. He had a little window eyes.
That explains why they wouldn't let him draw pictures of him. It's like, guys, if anybody finds out he's a cottage, they're not going to take us seriously.
And Trogdor is going to come and burn him down. It's going to be a bad time.
And now it is time for the ultimate super duper epic final battle.
Yeah, this is going to be great with lots of fighting and swordplay and good animation.
This would be like if at the Battle of Helm's Deep, all the orcs got diarrhea and left. It's like, oh, why did we order Indian food for catering? Oh no.
But what they're actually thwarted by is a fucking singing dust storm.
Yeah. Who would expect a dust storm in the desert? It's another one of those miracles like that spider web. Jesus
The dust storm is chanting Allahu Akbar, and it comes and it fucks up the Meccans and all of their pots and shit. We get like 5 shots of different pots of water getting knocked over.
Yes. Yeah, like the big problem for these people is going to be like, yeah, we can win this battle, but how the fuck are we going to boil water afterwards? Jesus. So, yeah, so the army chickens, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, man, when you're dealing with a trench in the desert, I'm thinking dust storm is your friend. Right?
How amazing would it be if Muhammad is just like, thank you, God, for saving us, and then the dust clears and it's just entirely filled in, and he's like, fuck. Just bird God giving him the double fingers.
Turns out the Jews were right. God damn it, it was the Jews.
Fucking bird God.
So we get this next scene. Now Mo is telling us about his dream. Eli has no fucking idea what to do now.
I don't know what he looks like. I guess I just gotta start nice hard. I'll just hang around preschools in Saudi Arabia and wait for the guy that gets handsy.
Christ.
It was at this point that I realized that throughout the entire movie, the role of the Muslims has been to just kind of be the exasperated girlfriend of Muhammad. Like he's
Yes.
telling his dreams and they're like, okay, Muhammad. And then he's like, okay, let's go to war. And they're like, okay, Muhammad, whatever you say.
Yeah, did I ever tell you about Moses? You haven't told me about Moses, Muhammad. So what he's decided is he's like, you know what? Fuck the Meccans. I want to go to Mecca anyway. Let's take it over. And they're like, oh, he's coming on a peaceful pilgrimage. We can't kill him during a peaceful pilgrimage. And I'm like, can't we just though?
Right.
Get over it.
So they extend a peace treaty, and then they explain what a peace treaty means for like 6 minutes. It's like, okay, so here's a peace treaty, which FYI means you can't attack us and we won't attack you.
Yeah, right. And they give that to us about 3 different ways so that we really get the deal here.
So then we learn that you shouldn't attack people while they're praying and minding their own business. Muhammad. Someone comes and kills the Muslims while they're praying.
Yeah, right. Because we have to be very clear. It was the other guys who broke the peace treaty. So now Muhammad can go in and he's perfectly justified in killing his way into controlling Mecca. Although this movie would have you believe he didn't kill anyone on the way in. Let's not listen to history, guys. And let's listen to this cartoon.
And the horses in this scene fucking hate fire.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's pretty accurate to real life. I'll give him that.
Well, but here's the thing, right? So they have the horse stomping out the fire for a while. And that's how it really goes. Like when you're trying to put out a fire, you think it's done and there's a little fucking ember. But it's a cartoon. We don't have to watch all that. We can have the horse just stomp 4 times. But the horse is like, oh, fuck. God damn, somebody get some water.
And did anybody else notice in the scene before this when the 2 like formerly evil guys are witnessing and it cuts to the POV that Muhammad's eyes have optical zoom?
Yes.
You catch that?
Yeah, he doesn't have the thermal scanning, but he's got something going. He's got at least something
like
going.
normal eye shit.
They go into the window of a preschool. Okay, next scene.
All right, so then we cut to more bad guy priests in opulent rooms hating Muslims. I can handle 6 more. There's 6 more minutes in this fucking movie. I can introduce those scenes. But the very evilest priest, Red Turban, has come to speak with Muhammad because he knows Muhammad's coming to try to take over Mecca now.
And someone has taken his poetry book away, which makes me deeply happy.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, hey, Muhammad, sorry about killing you. I'm a Muslim now, or at least I'll stop trying to kill you. And there's this great moment. It goes, and the prophet said, peace and blessing upon him. And I wanted it so bad to be the prophet, peace and blessing upon him, said, fuck you.
He's seriously just kissing ass because he knows he's going to get killed if he doesn't. And Muhammad is just a great guy because he decides not to kill them.
Yeah, right. Like that's Muhammad's fucking like Jesus moment, right? His peaceful moment is like, I could kill you, but I didn't. See how I just stopped a murder right there? I'm a hero. Yeah.
The guy's like, yeah, I'm totally a Muslim. You're totally the prophet. He's like me as a kid in church. Like, I believe it. Mm-hmm. Not just here because I have no choice.
All right. So now we have the scene where the evil priest came in and said, okay, Muhammad, you can have the city. Because you know how that happens in war when they're just like, no, you don't have to attack. You can have it. It'll be peaceful. So we have this scene where all of the Muslims are marching in and peacefully taking over the city.
And chanting Muslim shit. Don't forget that part.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I wrote in my notes, Paul Joseph Watson thinks this is a documentary about modern day Sweden.
It's clearly an allegory.
I said we should clip this scene and send it to Trump on Twitter. Tell him it's Hamburg.
You see that? They're coming.
So, and also, by the way, keep in mind that what we're like happily singing along to the little chirping, it's a small world after all, birds are chirping along to the fucking ethnic homogenization of this city, right? They're chucking out all of the old god statues from the temple. They're like tearing down all of the pagan shit. They show them blowing up some old Buddha statues. Jesus.
They're just building a pipeline over an Indian graveyard. It's happy songs. La 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 la.
So now we finally and that ends the whole fucking story, whatever. So we can finally flash back to the narrator that was telling the story to begin with.
It's not a flashback. It's a water ripple effect back to the present time.
Right. Yes. Yes. Thank you. It's one step above Spider-Man symbol just spinning in and then spinning back out. Yeah. So, but we learned that Saudi Arabia would be peaceful forever after that. And then the dad, like Malik, finishes the story. He's like, and then the prophet died. And the other guy is like, well, you want to tell him about the part where he fucked a 9-year-old? No, the prophet then died. Do you want to tell him about that other battle where they just enslaved
my daughter's going to give you her sheep. Take my daughter's sheep. Movie's over.
Anyway, and then we get a little best of montage, and then we get these names are all bullshit credits.
The director's name is Richard Rich.
Yeah, right.
That's
sure it is.
Real. There's also some character named Jom. I don't know who the fuck that was, but he was played by an actor named Mark Hunt. And I was like, God damn it, so close.
No, that's a euphemism for FGM. Mark. Anyway. All right. Well, then, unfortunately, I gotta end it there now. God damn it. Does somebody have like a non-FGM joke to close this on?
No.
Eli wants to fuck a child.
Thank you. All right. So the whole peacefully entering Mecca thing might have been a little exaggerated. Kind of ignores the fact that 3 columns entered Mecca. Only 2 did so without going through armies along the way. I mean, by the time they got there, they didn't kill anyone. Sure. Anyway, also it conveniently omits the Battle of Hunain, I think it is, that came afterwards where the Muslim killed untold thousands and took at least 6,000 prisoners. Kind of fucks up the whole, Muslim religion of peace kind of narrative. So to close things off tonight, I ask you this. What other violent atrocities would you like to see remade into cutesy cartoons?
Okay, this is a little weird, a little hard to imagine, so hang with me here. It would be so weird if they did this movie, but they did it for the Native American genocide, but they make it sound like both sides made mistakes and they just needed to learn to respect one another, but they totally changed the end of the story so that instead of hundreds of thousands of people being slaughtered and the survivors having their homes and their cultures and their languages and their lives deliberately destroyed by foreign invaders, it ends with a white guy and a Native woman symbolizing the union of the two groups by falling in love and getting married. And oh my God, that's Pocahontas.
I have the MythCon episode of the Gaytheist Manifesto.
Oh, it's so good. A cartoon version of our appearance at Edinburgh, just like...
Very similar answers. Those last 2. Actually, all 3 of them were pretty similar, let's face it.
Reasons I should have killed myself if I was brave.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, Callie, Ari, can't thank you enough for suffering alongside us tonight. You even knew what you were getting into this time and still did it. So if our listeners want to hear more from you, where should they go?
You can hear us on the Gaytheist Manifesto. We are wherever podcasts are found, iTunes, Stitcher, all of that fun stuff. TheGaytheistManifesto.com, at The Gaytheists on Twitter, and all of that fun junk.
Just Google gay shit and we'll come up.
I mean, do not
as fast
Google
as you think,
shit,
but definitely Google gay
shit.
shit. Definitely. Don't listen to Eli on that one. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our review of Muhammad, the Last Prophet. That's not going to do it for the episode just yet because we still need to rope you back in for more. So, Eli, tell us what's on deck.
The moment of truth. We're finishing up the trilogy.
Oh, I see. So, like the little 30-minute movie that we had to do, we're going to save for when Heath gets back, but the 90-minute cartoon monstrosity of a piece of shit we inflict on,
to be fair,
on guests.
at the speed that Heath works his way through movies, it will take him the same time as Muhammad, the Last Prophet.
You seem awful confident he doesn't listen to the ones he's not on. You're wrong.
His name
so with
is...
that to look for...
Here you go. He can bleep it out if he hears it.
No, I have to bleep it out now. Thank you, Eli. So with that to look forward to, we're going to bring episode 126 to a merciful close. Once again, a huge thanks to Callie and Ari for hanging out with us tonight. Again, if you want to hear more from them, check the show notes for this episode. And in every bit, as huge thanks to all the Patreon donors that help make the show go. If you'd like to count yourself among their ranks, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/godawful and thereby earn early access to an ad-free version of every episode. You can also help us a ton by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes and by sharing the show on all your various social media platforms. And if you enjoyed this show, be sure to check out our sibling shows, The Scathing Atheist, The Skeptocrat, and Citation Needed, available on iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever else podcasts live. If you have questions, comments, or cinematic suggestions, you can email godawfulmovies@gmail.com. Legal services for this podcast are provided by the law offices of P. Andrew Torres. Our theme song was written and performed by Ryan Slatnick of Evil Giraffes on Mars. All other music was written and performed by our audio engineer, Morgan Clark, and was used with permission. Thanks again for giving us a chunk of your life this week. For Heath Enwright and Eli Bosnick, I'm Noah Lugeons, promising to work hard to earn another chunk next week. Until then, we'll leave you with a Breakfast Club close.
And Callie was murdered in her sleep.
The mountain goat that Muhammad so graciously saved from the thicket that one time had its throat brutally slit as it was sacrificed in a Muslim ritual.
Aisha's bath time scene is only available if you rent this in Japan.
Eli double-checked his address wasn't anywhere public on the internet. Just, in case.
Callie was ahead of me at a certain point. I don't know how you get ahead of me on that.
You go rogue. That's how you do it.
Yes.
I'm my own fucking person, Noah.
Yeah, I think she heard Ari talking all kind of shit about like breaking expectations, and like, yeah, I'm gonna try that shit out. I'll see how it works.
Ari's a role model
woman.
in a lot
I
of
am your
ways.
muse.
Yeah.
Sorry, Morgan. We got a rebel without a cause up in this bitch.
Rebel without a pronoun.
Hey, Eli. Fuck you. I have a pronoun, it's just not the one you think it is. Okay, let's do the show.
The preceding podcast was a production of Puzzle and a Thunderstorm LLC, copyright 2018, all rights reserved.